Hey, good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Bratney, and it's about 6:27. We'll give this just a few more minutes to join for those who might be coming in a little bit closer to 6:30. So please hang tight. Just a few things before we get started to help with bandwidth for this meeting. Not knowing how many people were going to be joining, I wanted to make sure that we weren't accidentally going to be limiting out our bandwidth on anyone's end. So I do have everyone's cameras turned off. I do have everyone's microphone muted. There is a chat. If you are new to Teams, you can see up near the top of your screen on the toolbar, there is a chat function. So please feel free to put any comments or questions into the chat function as we go here. You can also, there's a little icon that looks like a hand. Feel free to hit that. You can raise your hand. That'll just be an indication that you want to make a point or ask a question. So I'll do my best to moderate this as we go and allow people to ask questions as they come up. But for the most part, the intention here tonight is for this to just be an informational session. So I don't anticipate this, turning into a long debate or anything like that. Ideally, we'll have some time towards the end of the meeting for a little bit of Q&A. But for the most part, the intention here is for this just to be a purely informational session. And we'll dive a little bit more into that here in just about a minute when we get started officially. Again, for those of you who are just now joining, I have the cameras turned off and the microphones muted for all the participants now, just in hopes of controlling the bandwidth a little bit, not knowing how many participants we'd have. But if you do have questions, up at the top of your screen, if you are using Teams on a computer, you'll see a chat button. That'll open up the chat window. You can add some comments or questions in there. You'll also see a raise button that looks like a hand. You can use that to add a question or get the presenter's attention. And we'll do our best as we go to help moderate the meeting and make sure that to the extent possible towards the end, especially anybody with questions has the chance to ask. So it is 6:30 now. We'll go ahead and get things kicked off. I really appreciate everybody taking a little bit of time out of their beautiful Memorial Day weekend to join us for this important meeting. My name is Peter Bratney. For those of you who I have not yet had the pleasure to meet, I am a resident here at Napa Valley. My wife and I and our three daughters live on Vintage Trail. And I've met many friends here over the 10 years or so since we've moved into the neighborhood. My wife and I and our family have no intention of ever moving, God willing. So we're here for a very long time. And so, like I know for many or all of you, annexation is a very important topic. The purpose of tonight's meeting isn't to make a hard push for pro-annexation or anti-annexation. My hope is that everyone will make up their own mind on the issue after doing their own research and reaching their own conclusions. But it is really important to me, and I know for a lot of you, that we make those decisions in light of all of the available facts. And one of those important facts, and something that's been made very relevant, is the condition of the current water system and that infrastructure. I think a lot of ways that's been portrayed as being on the brink of failure or at risk of some kind of catastrophic event that could put us as a neighborhood in a bad situation. The more I've dug into that with the help of many on this call, the more I've come to realize that maybe isn't telling the full story. And so to allow us to learn a little bit more about that firsthand, we've invited Scott Sandberg. Scott Sandberg is the trustee of the Fox Creek Benefited Water District, and he's obviously very knowledgeable about all of these issues. For what it's worth, Scott has offered to come and speak in front of the entire association, but was not provided that opportunity by the board. So This is one opportunity where you'll be able to hear direct from Scott. I believe, I don't want to speak for Scott, but I believe he is also willing to have further follow-up meetings or discussions individually or in person with another group. So with that, I will turn it over here in just a minute to Scott. Again, we do have a chat function for those of you who would like to pop questions up for Scott to help address. But again, other than that, again, my hope is that this is just a good informational session for everyone to help make the best decision possible. Annexation is a big decision, and we all want to make the best decision we possibly can. I'm not going to urge you one way or another, other than to say this. My own personal opinion, for what it's worth, is that the common area of the association should be voted in alignment with the interests and decisions of a majority of, or I should say this, rather, should be voted proportionate to the interests and decision of the homeowners. So if 2/3 of homeowners feel one way and 2/3 another way, I think the common area interests should be voted that way. So I would urge you at Wednesday's meeting to vote against allowing the board to vote the entire interests of the common area as a block. I don't think that's in our interest. I think in the interest of fairness, the common area should be voted proportionate to the interests of each of the homeowners. So that's my pitch. With that, I'm going to turn things over to Scott Sandberg. Scott, again, for those of you just joining, he's one of the trustees of the Fox Creek Benefited Water District, and he's going to share some information with us about the water district. Scott, I am now going to pass you the mic and the camera. Scott, are you able to chime in now?
Yes. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, loud and clear. Thank you, Scott.
Perfect.
I'm going to go on mute and turn my camera off. And thank you again for being here, Scott.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Peter. And I appreciate the introduction and everything. I just want to point out that again, thank you for meeting with me today. And I want to point out that the Fox Creek Benefited Water District is only interested in providing highest quality, low rate water. We are not in the business of getting mixed up in annexation. Here at the Fox Creek Acres, that was sort of brought up with City of West Des Moines, and we again said that that is not our job to determine who is annexed and who is not. We can provide water if you are annexed or if you are not annexed, and this is sort of an opportunity to have you learn more about your water district. This is also not about why are we just learning about this now. Some of that falls on us. But now you're here and I want to give you some information. So in sort of a background, as Peter said, my name is Scott Sandberg. I am one of 3 of the trustees that are elected to the Fox Creek Benefited Water District. I'm currently starting my 4th term, so I've been doing this for 10 years. My background is in environmental science and public health. I went to Central College and I have a master's degree from Des Moines University. And I've been doing water quality in some form in Iowa for the last 20 years. I've worked at every level of state, city, county, and federal government, as well as conducted medical, environmental health and safety research for a NIOSH-funded research center in Wisconsin. So I have a background and I have a passion in water and environmental science, especially here in Iowa. I'm from Waterloo originally. So when I came on, my wife and I moved to the Fox Creek neighborhood in 2016. And I was asked to serve on the HOA. And while I was there, I met Ken Tao, one of the other former Fox Creek Benefited Water District trustees. And he talked me into running for the Benefited Water District. I was elected to start serving in 2017. And I, as any good elected official would do, did my research and homework on our system and sifted through about 7 old totes of information and papers from the last 50 years. And discovered a number of engineering reports that had been done in previous years, around 2007, and started to paint this better picture of what our water district actually was and really see the asset that it is to those that it serves. Having a background, like I said, in water quality and seeing this protected water source that's been successful for the last 30 years, I understood how important that was to me as a drinker of water and raising a family in these homes. As Peter mentioned, this is my forever home. We have zero desire to ever leave. And so I've always put the priority of providing clean, affordable drinking water at the forefront. And that's how I have managed since I have been in the district. I think what I'm going to do is, as you come up with questions, do please let them know, because I also don't just want to read off of our website and be like reading a PowerPoint. I think a couple of things that I was told to address in terms of the longevity of our water district, and I think that actually that was it was left out in that website, and I apologize about that. So a number of people have commented on the age and if our system is going to fail. I don't particularly know what failure or failing means. I don't know if that's like a catastrophic act of God where you wouldn't get any water. We have had well pumps that have failed before. We have had vessels that have also failed or sprung a leak. That's running the water business. Those were replaced by on the shelf parts because we have redundancies. They did not ever affect the distribution or the quality of water that you're receiving. I don't believe Napa Valley has ever been without water in my time that I have been a trustee. I think it's been pretty long before that the entire Napa Valley neighborhood did not have water. Comparatively, us neighbors up to the north in Fox Creek and Sugar Creek, we've had probably over 20 boil orders, all tied to the city of West Des Moines and their improvements that they're doing around our neighborhood. So in terms of longevity and quality of life and quality of water, we don't see any failure anytime soon. In terms of age of our wells, one of the wells was put in 1985, and the other one was in 1997. Age of a well isn't really representative of its capabilities. Comparatively, the well down in Fleur for Des Moines Water Works was put in 1908, and it's still functioning. So we have not seen any water levels go down or any negative impacts of the sand mine as well. I did work with the Napa HOA when that was all going through to the Fox Creek Benefited Water District, produced a report in trying to prevent the sand mine. But since it's gone in, we have not seen any lowering of our well levels or any negative impacts since then. Obviously, the water tower is a ever-present issue as you all drive in. We are very aware of that. And I think as noted in the website, back in 2002 to 2021 to 2023, we were in the process of building a brand new water tower. But we did put the brakes on that due to some concerns of taking on that much debt and what the long-term effects would be. During those times too, we were asked to meet with the West Des Moines Water Works to potentially look at future services or agreements or what that would look like. Since our meeting, and multiple meetings since then, we have been able to make any headway on any negotiations that would be favorable to our customers as a whole or any of our neighborhoods. And I think that's also mentioned in the website. We have worked hard for interconnects, pressure interconnects, which would alleviate any worry of any long-term effects that we would have. And because we are not, again, part of the city of West Des Moines, we are unable to take advantage of that. In terms of the reverse osmosis that we're going to put in, that is not a quality issue in terms of, we're trying to filter out contaminants that we are high in. It would be purely aesthetics. It would lower the hardness, and it would also prepare us in the future for, sorry, I'm just seeing some questions here. Prepare us for any feedback or any impacts in the future to our water
Scott,
supply.
Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just seeing these messages here. My fault.
Yeah, that's okay, Scott. So this is Peter just chiming in again. I see a few people have started to put questions into the chat. please go ahead and continue to do so, and Scott will review those and respond to those as he's able. For those of you joining by phone, if you would like to text me any of your questions, I'll do my best to relay those to Scott. Uh, for those of you who might not have my cell phone number, it is 515-707-2642. Again, 515-707-2642. All right, go ahead, Scott. Thanks. Back to you.
No, yeah, anything. And I guess in terms of that, let me give you my cell phone number, my personal cell phone number for any further questions for anybody that wants that. So that is 319, I'll put it in the chat too, 610-3949. And that's my direct. And you can feel free to call me anytime and ask any questions you have. That's I'm here for that.
And Scott, I would just also ask, bear in mind that we've got a fair number of people joining by phone. So as you address questions from the chat, if you wouldn't mind just kind of reading those out loud before you answer them, that would be helpful.
Yeah, sure. Is there, again, Peter, like I wasn't at any of the meetings. Is there anything that anyone would like me to touch on more specifically? I guess the point I'm trying to get across is that we have, myself and the two other trustees for the past decade have been managing it with improvements presented by the engineers that we have hired. I guess I should also, in clarifying that, the Howard R. Green report that is brought up consistently, that was a report that we, the trustees, let out and bid for to get, excuse me, we didn't bid for that. We sought input for a pre-engineering report with the ability to make these improvements in the future. The preliminary engineering report is sort of a starting place. That tells us where we are, where we need to go, and is also required for many different funding sources, whether it be private or governmental. You have to have your ducks in a row in order to know where you're going. And so that was the purpose of that report, is telling us where we needed to go. And based on that, we have made improvements that were suggested in there. Obviously, that was sort of I wouldn't even call it a Cadillac. That's a Bentley of reverse osmosis and engineering reports and systems that Howard R. Green produced for us. And that was fantastic. But as trustees, we also knew that a $5 million reverse osmosis system is not economically feasible for our size of district. And with that, myself, as well as our other trustees, have attended a lot of rural water conferences and talked to a lot of other individuals in the rural water space. And we understood that there are other opportunities and other options for our size in terms of engineering solutions. And so we worked really hard to find an engineer that could help us with that size of solution. And that's where Hartman Consultants from Florida came in. Highly recommended from our appraisal company, Raftellus, to circle back during our negotiations with the city, with West Des Moines and West Des Moines Waterworks. It was very clear to us that they saw no value in the system as a whole, or even in its parts. And
Scott,
so, yes.
Oh, sorry to jump in. I'm getting some questions here, so if you don't mind, I might just try moderating a little bit.
Yes, please do.
I'll ask you a couple questions, or I'll start them one at a time. And
I think that's great.
Do your best to try to keep answers as succinct as possible. I know that's difficult.
Sorry about no. I'm the data guy, so I will
I know, and
I apologize.
There's a lot of information out there, but
yeah, let's just start fielding some of these.
So first question, can you touch on the water tower, or also known as the standpipe? We all see it driving in. What's the status of it? It looks a little rough from the outside, like it could use a fresh coat of paint at the least, but is it structurally sound? What's the quality? I think there was maybe even a mention a year or two ago about a new water tower. Can you spend maybe just 1 or 2 minutes talking about the water tower, and then we'll move on from there?
Certainly, yep. So the current existing standpipe is about 100,000 gallons. And we're able to utilize about 30,000 gallons of that before physics takes over. And because it's just a cylinder, that pressure head is lower. And so a number of years ago, in 2002, we went down the road. We received a USDA rural development grant to put up a 250,000 gallon steel, I guess you'd call it sort of like a spheroidal or a teardrop shape, kind of a typical rural Iowa water tower. We went down that path. We had it bid out. And then with what was going on with West Des Moines Waterworks, as well as a number of our customers, we were asked to put a pause on that for financial reasons, and really better investigate and better talk to West Des Moines Waterworks to understand how our position would best fit in the future. In terms of moving forward right now, based on that report that we sent out, in terms of rehabbing where it's at, it is structurally sound. We've had an ROV in it in, I think, 2019. So that's a robot that went inside it, looked at all the interior, said it looked good. There's very minimal sediment on the bottom, which is also a good indicator of life of one of those structures. Yes, it does need some help on the outside. That is some weeping, and what you're seeing is basically calcium on the outside. We did have HydroClean out a couple years ago to clean it off. We've since contacted, let me get the contractor in. Sorry, I got a couple screens. I don't want to misspeak. A structure company that specializes in these glass line tanks, and they have a number of methods that can basically bring the exterior back to brand new and sort of a shiny blue, and then a number of steps they can take to rehab the. Basically, you can put caps on all the bolts and sort of do a sealant to, alleviate that weeping problem, and that would essentially extend the life of that tower. I think Jerry said by 7 or 8 years in terms of not needing to have to do any other rehabs or maintenance work on that. So that's kind of where that's at in terms of a brand new water tower. We have all the engineering documents complete. If we choose to go down that path again, we can easily get funding through the USDA or other Iowa SRF funding, and then rebid that out and get that show on the road if we choose to go that route. That's sort of in our back pocket. Yeah.
Okay. Next question. Had a couple questions about the data center. We have a new data center nearby. Can you talk a little bit about the data center, what impact that may have on us, if any, either on water availability or water quality, and anything along those lines that we as residents of the Napa Valley neighborhoods should be aware of?
Certainly. I think I will be honest, I have not in my water quality, I haven't dug down the rabbit hole of the data centers yet. And I say that because I've seen a lot more coming out lately, and a lot of YouTubes or TikToks of the water quality coming out of the faucets of some of these places that had data centers. I don't know enough about how they are, especially in Iowa, how these data centers are using the water, and if they are using municipal or have their own wells. Because I do know that some, do their own wells just to be able to have the capacity of water. In looking through a lot of West Des Moines Waterworks documents, I do believe that they probably get most of their water from the West Des Moines and the municipal source. So I can't say how it would impact the water that, if you choose to go with West Des Moines Water, the water that you guys would receive coming from there. In terms of us, we are upstream in the aquifer from where they are right now. So I wouldn't expect to see any impact on us. But then again, this is all very new. And so they're not drawing out water from the ground where we get water from. So I wouldn't expect them to interfere with us.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Similar question as far as the mining operation. Again, that may be downstream, but please let us know. But what, as a general question with regard to data center, the mining operation, what steps are taken to regularly monitor water quality and ensure that the quality of water we have and quantity of water we have remains at or above the levels we would, come to expect.
Certainly. We do, there's monthly water monitoring that we do as well as quarterly. I'd have to look in our DNR permit to tell you specifically what we measure when, but we are constantly monitoring that. The other thing we're monitoring too is the well depth. And so, our well is 45 feet deep, but how far up does the water come before, it evens out? And that water level is more indicative of how we would be impacted, say by drawdown from either the mine or the data center. So less of an impact on the actual quality of water, more potential impact possibly on quantity.
Very good. And are wells cleaned? A comment in the chat mentioned the HR Green study recommending periodic cleaning of the well.
Yes.
Can you speak to that for a moment?
Yeah, that's a very traditional maintenance thing for wells. It's basically, they call it like shocking the well. It's in essence like descaling your coffee pot. They put a low acid in, they pull out all the pump and everything, isolate that well from the system, basically shock it with a light acid to eat away that scale, clean it out, chlorinate it, and test it, and then bring the well back online. That's been done in the last few years for at least one of our wells, and I had Tom Thorpe looking into when each one was done. But that's a routine thing that can be done to sort of help clear the filters down in the pipe. So that's something that we have done previously and is very, very typical of all wells.
Okay. Can you speak to well number 3 and 4? Are both of those wells currently operational? Did we have issues with them in the past? Is there any need to replace or cap one of those wells? And another related question, is there a need to drill an additional well? And is there any option to do that? And then I'm piling on a lot of details or questions here, but final point to that, did the RO system and the potential installation of an RO system have an impact on the need for that additional well? So just a quick recap, status of all current wells. Is there any need to drill an additional well? And what might be the impact of the RO system on the need for an additional well?
Certainly, great questions. The status is both of our current wells, which are 3 and 4 that are located down in Boonville, are functioning and have functioned. We have not had any drawdown issues. Like I said, there are times that we have lost a well pump, but we have a spare on the shelf for literally that reason, which is also the reason we have 2 wells as redundancy. They are perfectly fine. I think sometimes people get confused when they're looking on the permitting websites for the DNR or something called GeoSam, which shows all the wells in the state of Iowa. We have had 4 wells in total, 2 of which are located up in Fox Creek Acres that were operational before the Fox Creek Benefited Water District was actually a thing. It was the prior, I guess, neighborhood water system that was run for the Fox Creek Acres. And those were both Mississippian aquifer wells that go down about 600 feet. The issue with those back in the late 70s, early 80s is they became high in fluoride, actually. And so that's when we started looking elsewhere, and the agreement with Hubble came up to place our wells down by Boonville and the standpipe site in Napa Valley. So.
Very good. Thank you. Question regarding engineering and permitting. Has there been any engineering or permitting as recommended in the Hartman report? Can you speak on the status of that, if any of that has taken place, or if you have any timeline that you can share as far as that goes? And then related question perhaps is whether or not the the reverse osmosis system will impact DNR approval or SRF application.
Sure. And I realize I did not answer the second part to that well question. I'm sorry. In terms of a third well, which I think, and I've seen in a couple questions that we've had emailed, in the Howard R. Green report, they talk about a much larger reverse osmosis system and the need for a third well in an effort to drive that reverse osmosis system. Again, like I said, that was the Bentley of reverse osmosis systems and systems in general. That I think was 360,000 gallons per day, which is, over twice of the 100,000 that we have spec'd out. That was just running a much more liberal level of filtration and having very little bypass. So we'd be taking way more out based on our maximum usage, which occurs, when everyone is irrigated. And in terms of the and that was that larger RO basically needed more water to flow it, which is what would require that third well. In terms of having space for a third well, we are a little tight on space down in our well field. However, we do believe that there is the opportunity to potentially put in a third well and only operate 2. That is something we are still exploring more, but basically only having 2 operational as we do now, and then a third as sort of an additional backup is possible since we're not utilizing that all the time. Engineering permitting, we are currently working with the Department of Natural Resources to sort of start that construction permitting process. We're under the understanding that because we are not treating for any contaminants, I think the application process might be a little more streamlined. We're just doing it for, a hardness and basically an overall consumer upgrade. I know a lot of people have been concerned about the hardness, and so we want to address that and moving into the future. So does that cover that?
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Again, everybody, the chat is open. If you have any questions, please feel free to add them to the chat. Feel free to text me if you are joining by phone and don't have access to the online application. My phone number is 515-707-2642 if you'd like to text any questions to me directly. Scott, I've got a question here. Would putting a liner inside the standpipe, again, for those of you who, like me, are learning a lot about water infrastructure as we go here, standpipe is the water tower, the big blue water tower we have at the top of the neighborhood. But question is, would putting a liner inside that standpipe reduce its capacity, Scott?
No, not my understanding. I guess, without knowing the specifics of the product they would use, I would imagine it's some sort of like rubberized. I don't want to diminish the fancy scientific compounds that are probably used, but it's probably like a Flex Seal. So it wouldn't be like a bladder or anything. It would be more of like something that was applied to the surface, like a paint or something like that, that would dry in like a flexible state.
Listen, don't knock Flex Seal. I use a lot of Flex Seal. All right. So question for you. In the event of a failure, and again, I guess as we go and I'm learning more, it's a catastrophic failure is unlikely. However, we all deal with, we live in a world where the unlikely can happen. If there was some kind of catastrophic failure and Fox Creek was for some reason unable to provide water to Napa Valley and the Napa Valley neighborhoods, what would happen, Scott? Kind of, if you can walk us through kind of the first 12 or 24 or 48 hours following some kind of event that would lead to a major water disruption and what would happen under our current infrastructure.
Sure. So and like you mentioned, I don't know what a a catastrophic failure would look like, I can put on my emergency preparedness hat and say that in terms of the well site, I would say the largest danger there would be a derailment of some sort of chemical, because we have that railroad right next to us. Anything from like a mine or a data center or some other thing within the aquifer would tend to move slowly, and we would see rates of something rising. Like if nitrates all of a sudden became a problem, we would see that slowly going up versus we have 3 parts per million nitrates one day and now we have 20 the next day. That would that wouldn't happen. That would only happen in the event of like a large spill or something. In a spill or something, there we would use containment. All of our wells are also, the wellhead sticks out above the ground about 18 or 20 inches. So that would be an initial sort of protectant against that. I know that the railroads are pretty serious about having secondary containment for those sorts of things. Additionally, since we do have the sand mine across the street, I would imagine we could probably get some truckloads of sand in there to stop the flow of that, if something like that happened. Additionally, in terms of catastrophic, if for some reason like the standpipe got hit by a tornado or partially taken down or fully taken down, that would be a matter of pressure. And so then our pumps would likely be running all the time, which is totally fine. We've operated like that. And we also have, as mentioned, not previously mentioned, a 3-inch connection to Xenia Rural Water, which we can utilize. So we would open that up and have the flow of water. That would very likely be perfectly adequate for Napa Valley. Frankly, if anybody needed additional water at that point, it would be Sugar Creek, Fox Creek, up the ways a little bit. And at that point, act of God, I do believe that the West Des Moines Water Works would step in and help us, because there is a main fire hydrant right in front of Fox Creek Acres and basically a clean out connection that when they have previously broken our water lines, they were able to basically jump across the dirt from their fire hydrant to our fire hydrant and backfeed us in order for Fox Creek to have water.
So Scott, yeah,
Mhm.
perfect. Yeah, that's super helpful. I guess for me, I'm not a water engineer. When you talk about a 3-inch pipe, that sounds small. Is
Yep.
that sufficient to supply our neighborhood?
The engineering coming from Xenia has told us yes, and that was upgraded. The 3-inch was upgraded from a 2-inch a couple years ago, based on the similar concerns of, if something happens, why do we only have a 2-inch? A 3-inch is, so it's a 4-inch main that's coming off of Xenia into the front of Napa Valley. They are only comfortable putting a 3-inch meter onto us, not a full 4-inch, to give us, I guess, the full bore of what they would have, simply because we are sort of the end of their line, and that would basically take service away from Boonville if we opened it up too much.
Got it. That sounds like a Boonville problem, not a
Yeah.
Napa Valley problem. No, we love Boonville. Question for you. The question reads, there's the 2023 DNR report mentioned that there are no major or minor deficiencies, but question is whether the requirements of that report have been met, and how many or what items from the recommendations list of that 2023 DNR report are still outstanding. Are you able to speak to that?
I haven't reviewed that one. I can't speak to it, only because I don't have it in front of me.
Okay, fair.
I can't speak to specifics. That's all.
Yeah, no, that's okay. Jamie, that was your question. If you have any additional, if you can provide a little specific, some more specific information, I'd be happy to circle back to the question. Next question, Scott. Has any testing been done to estimate the remaining life of the wells? Is that testing something that can be done with accuracy, or are we kind of going off of kind of best experience and what we've seen with other similar utilities?
Yes, there is a measure. It is like a pressure ratio, basically like a recharge ratio. If you run the pump for so long, how long does it take to fill back up, basically? And that's sort of how you judge the efficiency of your well. And our numbers are very similar to what they were back when it was put in. So we are maintaining good efficiency over the life of our wells so far. And part of that is due to the shocking of the wells and putting, that acid treatment to clear out that calcium. That rehabs that well to increase that flow into the casing, basically.
Okay. Question, if it, again, I think you've done a nice job of illustrating that we probably aren't looking down the barrel of a failure anytime soon, but again, unpredictable things can happen. If there was some form of failure and Fox Creek had to step in and get water from Xenia or Sugar Creek, what would that do to our costs? How long might that condition continue before? I mean, I guess it all depends on the nature of the failure, but presumably Fox Creek would get back up and running. But while we were in a condition or situation where we needed to get water from Xenia or Sugar Creek, what might that do to our costs during that period? And related question, in the event that there was an issue that required repairs, who would pay for those repairs?
Sure. I would not, we have no plans, or there is no plans to raise your rates based on the fact that we are purchasing water based on a failure. I think we would probably have the authority to do that. I don't think we would do that. And we, as the Fox Creek Benefited Water District, would cover the maintenance for that repairs.
Okay. So circling back to that DNR report, some of the requirements under that report, as have been shared with me here in the chat, would include things such as maintaining the lagoon, having an engineer evaluate water storage, register auxiliary power, replace screen on standpipe overflow, and get permit extension for standpipe construction. Those are a number of the requirements. There are a number of additional requirements and recommendations. Would it have been Thorpe's responsibility to review that report and take action, or whose responsibility, whose kind of court does that fall within?
No, that's the trustees. That's management. Absolutely. So the lagoon, they would ask that basically the middle be mowed. Our current landscape mower only mows sort of around the perimeter, but that's something that we can easily address. Let's see. And the screen on the overflow, I believe that's been addressed. Sorry, what was the other ones? Let me see if I can see in the list.
Some of the other ones would be permit extension for standpipe construction.
I believe that was in relation to the new tower.
Yes.
So I believe that's what that is.
Okay.
Because we had gone through that permitting process and they were just kind of, it hadn't happened yet. So they were kind of noting that you're going to keep doing this, you probably need to reapply for that permit. That's all.
It sounds like there might be a couple of other ones, but I know that you haven't personally seen that report yet. So we'll move on from that.
And I guess I should say I have that report would have come across my desk and I would have seen it, but I just can't speak specifically against that. So.
Okay, fair enough.
And I have no problem, working with that person to look at specifics either.
Sure. Okay. Very good. Thank you. Question coming here to me by text to my phone. So the utility, Fox Creek, currently owns the water network within Napa Valley. Is that distribution network something that, in the event of annexation, would that current utility distribution network be utilized by West Des Moines? Or what would happen with regard to that existing utility that's owned by the water district in the event of annexation?
Yep, and that's something that we've been trying to work on for the last 4 years with West Des Moines. As they said, they saw no value in sort of the pipes in the ground and the connections to customers as it is, and so they, when we brought our valuation to them, that didn't have any impact on them. They don't see any value in that. So an agreement would have to be reached to transfer those assets in some way. It would be silly to think that they would repipe the whole thing, but those assets would have to be transferred, mutually agreed transfer of some sort. But yes, we own the Fox Creek Benefited Water District owns our well site parcel, our standpipe parcel, all of the pipes in the ground everywhere, as well as 3 parcels in Fox Creek Acres.
And my understanding is that's been appraised at, in terms of value, it's been appraised at well over $1 million. But
yep.
So someone's going to need to buy that eventually, whether that's in the event of annexation, West Des Moines would need to buy that, or
yes. And as an example, just to the north of you, West Des Moines bought out Xenia's, I guess, right to serve, and they paid $1,250 per acre to buy those rights. So they've already shown that the area there has value, and so we just don't understand why they don't believe that houses that are already built with plumbing have a greater value than that.
Okay. Next question. The question, I guess, is why was the installation of a replacement tower or standpipe deprioritized in favor of installing a reverse osmosis system?
Sure. I guess in short, we had a number of customers from Napa Valley that had concerns about the long-term financial viability of entering into that debt obligation. And with that, West Des Moines Waterworks has no need for a water tower, so there would be in the future no purpose of having that added expansion. So we put the project on pause for a while, understanding that we hopefully to work out a solution. A solution was not found, and so we chose to move forward with improvements that would not enter us into debt obligations that we can pay for out of pocket and not pass that expense along.
Okay. So we've got just a few minutes left. I really want to respect everybody's time. It's a beautiful Monday, Memorial Day evening. I'm sure a lot of people would like to go out and enjoy the day. Scott, I really appreciate your time in joining us to answer these questions. Anyone with any remaining questions, please put them in the chat. But maybe, Scott, just to summarize, is our current system of our current water utility system that we all rely on here at Napa Valley currently, at risk or under strain, or barring a unanticipated act of God or catastrophic, otherwise unanticipated catastrophic failure? I guess to summarize, is there any reason any of us should currently be losing sleep about our water supply, or the chance of waking up in the morning and the taps not turning on?
Absolutely not. If anything, you should be very worried about someone trying to sell you water that has been nationally publicized as being not great to drink for you. My priority has always ever been the quality of water and delivering safe water. If our water was ever not safe, as with my background as a public health professional, I would have zero confidence in distributing it. But we have very clean water, and we have something to be very proud of.
Yeah, thank you. What, if anything, would you, if we take away 2 or 3 things, or, we've all heard a lot of information here over the course of this meeting. as we run into our neighbors here tomorrow or over the next couple of days, what are the two or three takeaways you'd really hope that we remember, or kind of, bullet point for us to share with other interested people who live in the Napa Valley neighborhoods?
Yeah. Like I said, you have incredibly clean, high quality water, and you have the opportunity to come with us together into the future to maintain that and to improve it and to secure that for another 30 or 40 years. I think that's a huge asset to all of our homes. I think if you look at home buyers in the next 5 to 10 years, especially in the Des Moines area, this is going to be an important factor. And although a municipality might look desirable to say, yeah, within city limits, I think that desire is becoming less desirable. Also, another point that I would get across is that we are the trustees here to serve you. You are our customers. You're important. I'm here talking to you, having meetings like this, and am open to having more meetings like this. And you have my cell phone number, and please give me a call if you have questions. I want everyone to have correct, accurate information about their water district so that they can make the most informed decision.
Yeah, well said. Ultimately, this is a big decision for all of us, and we all will reach our own conclusions as far as annexation goes, but we want to make sure that we're reaching those conclusions in light of all the available information and all the facts. So, really appreciate you taking some time this evening to share that. Appreciate as well the state of the district report that was mailed out recently. For those of you who may not have checked your mail yet this weekend, there is a state of the district report in your mailbox. That's also available electronically. In the chat, I shared a link to a Google Drive account that has a lot of these reports and
Perfect.
firsthand information that has been shared. So please do feel free to check out those reports. There's a lot of technical information in there for those of you who like to really dive into the data. And there's some less technical summaries for those of you like me who like to have things laid out for you in bullet points. So
Yeah.
whichever you like, there's a lot of great information in there to be enjoyed and to be shared. So if for some reason you don't have access to that drive yet, please shoot me or one of the other neighbors a quick note, and we'll be happy to make sure that everyone interested has that access.
Yes.
Um,
Are you able to capture the chat questions? I'm not
yeah,
sure how.
yes. I am recording this meeting, and I will do
Okay.
my best to make that available to everyone after this for those who would like to share later. Um,
Yeah, and
one,
if you're able to export, I can address those, and we have a number of questions already that have been posed through emails and
yeah,
that we're sort of tracking to, so I can include those,
excellent.
and then we're going to answer them and sort of release that as more of a FAQ type thing.
Excellent. Maybe one additional question as we kind of wrap up. Can you speak a little bit to your operating costs, including costs of maintenance and repair, and upkeep, and how those compare to your knowledge with other similar systems elsewhere in the state?
Sure. Actually, I'm glad you brought that up because I do have a couple points that I would encourage you to ask of the city of West Des Moines and West Des Moines Waterworks as you're being approached on this. Um, One of the things I would ask is to understand the source water that you're being provided. Um, I think in the Bolton and Mink study, it's very unclear which water quality numbers they were using in terms of a source. I would wonder if they are providing you with AC Ward, which is the West Des Moines Waterworks source and treatment, when, to my best understanding, Des Moines Waterworks would be supplying the water to Napa Valley. So that would be of a different quality. I would get that in writing on where the source water would be coming from that would feed you. Additionally, in that Bolton and Mink report, when they compared the test parameters, different hardnesses and nitrates, they conveniently left out nitrate readings for the water you would be getting from West Des Moines, and